Yum.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You're making me want food now.
It's just eggs. Well, I'm still on the wrong camera.
You act like eggs isn't a default food for you.
Oh, I love eggs. I eat eggs all
When
the time.
Scott was a lad.
Yeah, it's just eggs on toast, but it has like the everything bagel seasoning on top, and then I brought down a tanner of cantaloupe. Now I have to ask: do you gentlemen buy pre-cut fruit or do you buy fruit and cut it yourself?
Fruit and cut it myself.
Fruit and cut it.
Yeah, it just blows my mind that they sell pre-cut fruit, and it's not like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's just like a small little shelf in case like some people need it because maybe they're in a rush because they're running late for something. No, it's like a pretty large shelf in every grocery store around here, and I'm like, why do people buy pre-cut fruit? Like what
It
sheer
doesn't
volume of
surprise you
people?
though, does it?
It-
Like convenience. Do you buy bread?
do I buy bread?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean versus so I buy loaves of bread if I go to a bakery. I buy sliced bread if I go to a grocery store.
Yeah, like it's exactly the same thing, isn't it? You know, like sliced bread, it's easy. Like equally, we could all get up in the morning and just like bake a loaf of bread. Doesn't take long.
That takes a minute
No, it doesn't.
to bake
The
a
bit
loaf
that
of
takes
bread.
time. Yeah, the bit that takes time is waiting for
Off
bread
the
to rise.
rails.
Yeah, but you still like mixing together the flour, the yeast, the water, and
I mean,
everything.
that doesn't take long.
Yeah, it does.
That's like 10. That's like 10 minutes.
10 minutes is a long time.
And then you're questioning why people don't like take the 5 minutes to slice their melon open.
Yeah, because bread when it's really fresh and when it's like cut from a loaf, if you're using it for a sandwich, it's almost the same thing. For a sandwich specifically, it's almost the same thing. There's no big difference. But fruit that has to have all sorts of like acids and stuff like that thrown on it and all this stuff to make it so it doesn't rot while it's sitting there in its vacuum sealed container and it was probably cut like I don't know weeks beforehand versus fruit that you just like cut. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Warehouse?
Okay, we know.
Yeah.
As you guys go walking up to the warehouse, it's a military warehouse, clearly. It's for supplies specifically for the military to transport goods north and south along the bay. So there are soldiers out front. There's the military, insignia up top, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all seen. That's all known. The brain's not working. Sorry, give me a moment. So the warehouse, as you guys approach it, there's actually, a guard stationed out front, not like stationed, but sitting there. So as you approach, it's one of those things where in here the skies have cleared up considerably, but it's still like wet here because it was still raining as you guys kind of like pulled into the docks the night beforehand. So it's still kind of like a bit wet around. But the guard that's here kind of stands up from the seat that he was sitting in and makes his way over and goes, "Morning, officer. Something I can help you with."
Yes, actually, I was wondering if you had any such and such beeswax, killer beeswax, or whatever it was.
Spider killer wax.
Yeah.
It says, well, your rank says that I can allow you in to go and investigate for yourself, but I can tell you this: unless you have paperwork saying that it's meant to be given to you, it's something you're gonna have to buy from the commissary.
It's fair enough.
Through commissary. But.
Yeah, and we obviously don't have any paperwork that says we need to be getting it from here, so we'll have to buy it.
He nods and says, "As long as you understand, I just don't recognize you." So.
Where do we come from
chip in
again?
as well?
Dwayne, you're in Dwayne.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we came from Emgley.
Yeah, McGlynn is where you most recently came from. Yep. So
We
so-
just got him from Midland, he would say.
he nods and says, well, as I said, you're welcome to go in. If you have your paperwork with you, that'll make things easier. Otherwise, they might give you a bit of a hard time trying to prove yourself. It's that whole, he chuckles to himself, how many names do you know? And then,
It's in the nod.
He just kind of gestures towards the door and goes back over and takes a seat. You're welcome to go in, and he doesn't question the fact that you have these other two with you. He just lets them go in with you. So when you immediately go into the place, you can see that it is, in fact, hey, look at that, a warehouse. So there's, as soon as you walk in, there's a desk kind of like opposite the door of where you walk in. That's kind of recessed back like a good 15 feet or so. A desk sitting there with two different people at the desk. One of them is kind of like sitting there doing something, and somebody else is standing there by them doing something. And you can see shelves and whatnot kind of like going back. I mean, they don't have forklifts or anything like that, but they do have the ability to like hoist stuff up here and there. And so the shelves are only so tall, and the stuff on the higher shelves is only so heavy because it's not like we have modern technology and storage. It doesn't look like Amazon. So, but they do have like a good amount of supply kind of all about. As to what's here, the myriad of smells and so on and so forth that's here. You can hear the chirping of birds and kind of like fluttering about that's inside here. I mean, it's an old-fashioned warehouse, right? You can see a bit of light kind of coming through the walls off to the side. Anyways, so when you come walking in, you walk up to the desk area that's there. I imagine you immediately produce paperwork suggesting your rank and whatnot.
Oh, of course.
No issues. And you inform them of what it is that you're looking for. They do a bit of searching, and they actually do find that they do have some there. But she says, "Whew, what you're looking for? It's a bit costly. We call it."
How much so?
She says, we call it sturge wax. She says each candle of it, if it's made well enough, each candle will burn for anywhere between 4 to 8 hours. Again, it depends on how well it's made. But each individual candle does cost 65 gold.
Tristan pulls a face at this. Because, that's an awful lot of gold.
That's a lot of gold.
That is a lot of gold.
I do not have that much
Are there
gold.
any forms or papers I can sign to requisition it, at least at a discount?
That is discounted. If you were to buy it on a market, it would cost at least 100.
See. Well, I'd look to the other two.
She would look to you and say, if this is something that you think that you're going to be reimbursed for by the military, you always have the opportunity to sign for a loan, come back and have the loan absolved by the government. I've seen it done a few times before. I don't know if that's something you're comfortable with.
I'm not going to take out any loans without checking, but I will.
When you say, I'm not going to take out any loans, she kind of gives you like a sympathetic look and says, I know it's difficult for people in your situation.
He just ignores that. We can seek compensation for it when we return.
Gallon's just gonna grab a bag of 50 gold and hand it over to Viggo.
Well, I'll get one. If Gallon wants to get one, he can grab one as well.
Oh, I meant just 50 gold for the set of however many we did to go towards however many we need. Like,
he's offering 50.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
don't
can't
have
cover
more.
everyone, so...
No, I'm not wanting an extra one. I'm just saying if I'm putting in enough to like, I'm assuming we're getting they're a group thing, not a each person thing. Because I imagine you don't need to burn more than
yeah,
correct. Yes,
sort of thing. Yeah.
I'd say we'll get 2 if we can.
That's 130 gold. He's offering 50. I imagine Tristan is like staring off at the shelving and whatnot off to the side, like boss man's doing boss man stuff.
No, I mean, Tristan has a grand total of 7 gold on him. Like, this is a ridiculous amount of money. How's anyone in the military who isn't an officer supposed to afford one of these?
Yeah, that's all
Exactly.
of my. I have 4 gold spare after that, so.
And quite frankly, he
well-
doesn't like the way that this person was like, oh, I understand it's difficult for you going into these dangerous situations behind their fucking desk.
That's actually not what she was referring to. I think Jake
That's
knows.
not how Tristan took it.
Oh, okay.
Kill the shopkeeper.
I think if
Oops, I transformed.
if you
Now I
find where
have
they
to
are,
kill you.
you just have to crouch and take it. Right?
Not stealthy.
Must have been the wind.
Maybe we'll probably just have to get the one, to be honest.
Okay. Then
I'll go your halves in it.
yeah, cool. So how much is half of the?
You get 25 back.
Oh well.
No, you don't get that
I'm fine
much
with
back. You don't get that much back.
No, it's fine. If he does 25 and Jake does 30, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look at that. What a steal.
I mean,
Jake's
I mean
fuming.
40.
Hang on a second.
40. If he does 25 and Jake does 40.
No, wait. Hang on. What?
Just
fuck.
take.
No. A candle for 65G, not candles for 100G. Let's not be ridiculous here. Come on.
So I'll pay 35 then. So because you already got the other stuff. So yeah, 35. So.
Cool. Good. Awesome. Just one of these candles brought over to you. So you guys have 2 of them in total. And again, each one of them burns for 4 to 8 hours, depending.
All right.
All right. So I was just sitting there looking at like how are these made? That is quite the revenue source. And you are able to kind of gather the thing up. It's wrapped up in a bit of
It's obviously it's the risk to the workers when they go get the wax, because like they leave and they're like, well, I'm going to need 12 months of paid leave to raise my new offspring.
oh, that's funny. All right. So, anyways, you
Large time.
you make your way back to the barge with your additional candle. It's kind of like wrapped up inside like wax paper, maybe like brown paper, whatever it is, to keep it safe. And I imagine you put that into like a small crate while it's on the barge, so it doesn't like crack or anything like that while it's being transported. Or there's a whole bunch of hay or whatever it is to absorb moisture for you. Anyway, so you're make your way back to the barge.
Yeah, so just before we get to the barge, I would find somewhere where I can change it to the astral suit, because the idea is I'm going to be in that permanently while we're on the barge.
More like permanently when you get to the gate. I thought what the idea was.
Oh, permanently when you get to the gate? Okay, cool. I wouldn't know what she meant. So, like me, myself, I'm dumb, Gallon smart.
All right, cool. No, Ash.
I would find a place on the barge that's like, so I know where I can go if I need to change.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, Ash, a combination of how difficult it is to get the supplies to make it, and the fact that many people would rather not use it because of the potential outcome from using it, reduces the supply of them being created, or the demands to even have them. So, like, there's a very small number of these things. They're rather rare. But either way, so continuing, I'm not even sure what number he's working off of. Does it say 650,000 increase? Oh, that's a small number you're working with. That's like fractions of copper. Either way, so you are going to head up to head to your barge, and this is where Neil, one of the 4 people that's there, one of the boatsmen that are there. You kind of like talk to them about the plan, so on and so forth. This is probably when what's his face there, Jake's character, Viggo, would start kind of like talking about his plan of, okay, this is what we're doing here, this is how we head up here, this is what we're doing here. And this is where actually Tristan, your expertise would kind of come in. Now, granted, you usually take order. You don't give order by any stretch. But you know your job, you know it well. So when he's kind of like giving suggestions of, okay, so everybody's gonna stay on the barge, you're gonna do this, you're gonna be like, what? But like, no, you don't want to do that. Like, we're trying to dissuade bandits from wanting to attack. So we have these 4 extra guardsmen for a reason. And what we're going to want to use is we're going to have 2 of the guardsmen off on the east bank and 2 of the guardsmen off on the west bank. As we're heading north, they're going to ride alongside of us, sometimes ahead of us, to make sure that, if there's any blockage or whatever, they can report back or handle it before, we come across any lying trees. I myself will barely be on the barge. I myself will be on the east or western bank, depending on where we are. And if you're worried about whether or not we can get back onto the barge, there's points about here, here, and here. And you're kind of like looking at the map that he has there. These points look like they'd be decent spots where we can just hop back onto the ship if need be, or we can dock it if need be to get back on. So you're able to kind of like guide his understanding of how this is going to go, because he's not a part of the river guard, whereas you actually have a lot of experience with this. Anything that you want to chime in with, Neil?
No, sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Is there like something Galen can stand up on top of on the barge so he gets like a full view?
So to say there's a crow's nest would be a bit disingenuous. There are actually sails, because this is kind of like a keelboat or keelboat. There actually is a mast that's there that does have
Oh, he said a Neil.
Neil. I'm just trying to see the word in my head because it's spelled with a K. There actually is a mast that's there that has because it actually has sails to utilize that when need be. It utilizes oars when need be. Or if it's going downstream, which it's not, it'll utilize the current as well. So you do have many oarsmen with you that help to go upstream, and you use the wind as much as possible to go upstream, right? But that being said, you brain's not working. Sorry. There is a eagle's nest. It's just not quite as high as a typical one is.
Oh, that's fine. I just want to be elevated so I can have a look all around, sort of thing.
Well, and the other thing is too is it's not going to be on the same mast. It's not going to be on the primary mast that has the sails on it, because that's so much lower, and the way that the sails kind of billow out of it. It's actually going to be on the secondary mast that has much lower sails. So it's not quite. So technically speaking, when you're on the bow of the ship, you would actually be kind of only really able to see the front, and then whoever's on the aft of the ship, which is actually where like the raised deck is, they'd be able to see the back half, with that being segmented by the sails if the sails are up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then I would go on the front one then.
Yeah. And then and last thing I want to point out about the travel thing to mention is if because the current is coming down, so you're going against the current. If you guys are actively, oaring up or having wind to help propel you up and whatnot, sometimes like if there's bad weather, you have to literally just kind of like moor the ship, like dock the ship off to the side to allow the current to kind of like slow down as things are a little bit bad, and then you can keep going as it is. But you are taking a barge the whole way there, as opposed to just hopping into a wagon and going. As for why it is you're doing that, Neil, you actually might be able to know this answer. Could you go ahead and roll me a profession soldier from your experience?
Oh,
you have no ranks in it?
no.
That means the max you can get is no. It's not an asterisk skill. So you with your profession soldier, one of the things that you realize is because you've been doing this for a couple of years now, the reason why something would be stay on a barge going upstream when normally you could just kind of stay on land is maybe because the sensitivity of the objects that you're working with are meant to be a bit more removed. There's actually less checkpoints for you to kind of like have your stuff like looked at and inspected and so on and so forth, that just stays on the boat than if you're actually traveling by land, where you often have to go through various checkpoints. So getting around many checkpoints is kind of like one of the benefits of doing this. So you believe it might be slightly more sensitive materials that are there, sensitive for one reason or another, and you can come up with a myriad of thoughts in your mind as to what that might be. Certainly your character and other soldiers have in the past, like, oh, I'm sure it was something he's sending back to the missus. That sort of whatever soldier babble you guys would have. So you would start your trek up north. Jake, was there anything you wanted to chime in on about for your plan getting up there, or Are you just kind of like happy to go with the flow or against it?
No, this is not my area of expertise. So I would have heeded Tristan's counsel, and the way we were getting there was already planned out. So I can only do what I'm familiar with. So I'd be, double checking notes, going through like the mission report, kind of what we have to do, and obviously still thinking about when the best time to burn the candles and all that would be, and just going through that type of stuff.
So, RP, meta, whatever's better for the two of you. I'm curious how it is that your character takes to Tristan kind of coming up and being like, no, that's actually a bad idea, or however he would phrase it. I don't want to put words in Tristan's mouth, certainly when he's talking to his commanding officer, about like what your plan was going forward, and him being like, no, it should be like, how does that kind of play out between the two? Like, Neil, how does your character approach it? And then Jake, how does your character? Again, you don't have to RP it. You can do it in the meta if you'd like.
Triss is definitely not going to walk up and be like, "That's a bad idea," or "No, don't do that."
Yeah,
He'd be like, "Well, what we've done in the past is, how we usually do it is this, and it seems to work." He's not going to go up to, hey, like Viggo seems nice, but he's not going to go up to his CO and be like, "You're wrong, lol."
Yeah, and in responding to that, the way he approached it, without disrespect or anything like that, Viggo would take his word for it. It's his, like this is what he may be here for. That this is what he does. So if I have to redraw, my plans for, how we get there or whatever, I would take his advice on board.
I'm sorry. In my mind, when Neil said "you're wrong, lol," my brain immediately went to watching like a movie scene where it's like boot camp, but like all of the words said between like the CO and the soldiers that are training are just spoken in memes. Where like one of the officers is like, "No, you," and he's like, "You what, mate?" And it's just kind of like keeps just nothing but memes being said back and forth to each other about different things. And
Your poor brain, Scott.
I spend too much time with Messi. I played 2 sessions a week with Messi. It is corrupting me as a human. I'm a lesser person because of it.
When are you moving down to Florida?
Oh God, not for a long time. Speaking of lesser people, hi Dead Aussie Gamer, welcome Raiders.
Your time.
Oh. God
Hang
damn
on.
it.
Aussie.
You what, mate? Right as that comes in. It's almost like you summoned him.
There you go for the. Oh wait, no, that's not. How is that the wrong flag again? I was gonna put the flag.
Have you
back
done
up
the
for-
wrong flag again?
Oh.
Let me look.
Just
no.
ignore him and maybe he'll stop.
He knows what he's doing.
I don't know. I don't know where it is. I can't find it. I don't really want to waste any more time with this. Yeah, it's all right. It's gone now. My like overlays were set up where like things changed on them that were supposed to be there. Like this is definitely the wrong flag. I don't even know what that flag is. So no. I think that's supposed to be a flag for the natives of but
I don't even know where you found that flag.
interweebs. All right. Back to the game.
I like how you just had to put it over my slot. Anyway, let's continue.
Anyways, let's keep going. So you guys hop on the barge and start heading north. This track is most likely a voyage that is without incident. Hey, Did Aussie Gamer, you want to go ahead and roll me a D100? That's exclamation point
God.
D100, enter.
While he does that, there was actually I
Well,
noticed
True
on
Blue screwed
the,
you last time. Go ahead.
the what's that the horror space movie Horizon something. The one with oh god damn it, I've now forgotten all the details I need to talk about. The guy who is in Jurassic Park and is also in that movie. Event Horizon. Thank you. Event Horizon. The Australian crewman has a Australian flag with the Aboriginal flag where the Union Jack is now on it as a thing. And I thought that was a really nice, cool detail.
Would make a lot more sense.
You have to
Yeah, I agree.
DM that to me so I could see what you're talking about as an image.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Is Did Aussie gonna roll that D100? If not, we can have somebody else do it. Oh, hey, Shaggy Dog. Well, if Dead Aussie doesn't want to, Shaggy Dog, you can. And this is going to be for the likelihood of them having instant on the way north. Likely no. Wow. Wow, Shaggy Dog.
Yes, we're having another incident.
It was only a 5% chance.
A 10?
Okay?
Oh
We're
my
good.
god.
That's funny. 5% better than last time. Shaggy Dog must also be Australian. You guys have this of the upside down perspective of the world. Low is bad. But anyway, so 10's not as bad as it could have been. Not as bad as the 5. Where you guys had to make 1,000,000 checks. So traveling through Dween is actually a very, very easy travel for you guys. I mean, the rivers there are very well maintained. We're talking not a fallen branch, not a thing out of place. It's very comfortable. It's very easy for you to come through here. Neil, you're actually even familiar with this river. This is the river where you spent this is one of the rivers where you spent a decent amount of time before. It's literally the one that goes through the heart of Paranhia, which is I mean the capital of this isn't the river that the capital of the nation is on, but Paranhia is kind of like the capital province, right? It's the center, it's the original province, so on and so forth. This is where the nation used to just originally be before it kind of took over many more nations. So as you're traveling up north through there, at first there's no issues at all through Dween. As a matter of fact, you can go all the way through Zubki and continue on without any issues at all. It's once you start getting further and further north and less the further and further proximity away from the actual Dween, where people don't like the laws as they stand today. They don't like the idea that the River King gets to have all responsibility of all of the rivers. And so, you're not just a ship that happens to be on the river protected by the River King. You're specifically one of the River King's ships themselves. You get a degree of cold shoulder kind of, sent your way. The incident, and this is something that you really start noticing once you get to Karurin. But by the time you get to Sochin, definitely you can feel the coldness coming off of them. As like you guys go to pull up into the docks and they're pulling your things in, you go to like toss a rope to somebody to like tie the ship up on the dock. You're like, oh, hey, here you go. You toss the rope there to tie it up so you can do like a quick inspection here. Maybe get like a supply exchange, whatever it might be. The person working on the dock itself won't take the rope and tie it up. They just kind of like walk past it, and you're like, what the hell? So you have to like, one of the crewmen or yourself have to like climb out of the boat to go like tie it up yourself. And as they're like jumping past you to immediately start just like inspecting, the inspections that they do are like effectively white glove inspections. It's almost one of those pucker up because they're wiggling the way in. It's just uncomfortable each time you go. So by the time you get to Sochin, again, you have an inspection there. You should be fine after that point to get all the way to where it is that the gate is going. But then when you get to Meretsk, it seems like you guys are expected to just be able to stay on the portion of the river that can just sail by. But you can see that the actual like city officials of the port are kind of like waving you in, like, no, you get over here, and you have to like last second kind of like move the ship to kind of pull into the port. And Jake, your character gets a little bit accosted as to what were you doing? Why weren't you pulling in for inspection? Of course, your character would counter something along the lines of, we were just inspecting. We should be clear for the next few checkpoints. And they're like, no, that's not how it works. And again, your characters aren't dumb. This is certainly something that you can pick up that's happening, because it's not really happening to the other ships that you saw at their most recent checkpoint as well that aren't flying your specific flag, right? And Neil, you in the past never dealt with this because you were a part of like straight up military barges, like where there were large groups of soldiers or so on and so forth. But this is something that's a bit more small, so it seems to be they're kind of taking it out on you because they can, if you will. As they get, again, white glove kind of dealing with this, you can kind of see this. And so again, you let it pass because there's not any real reason to raise hell yet. You're aside from the storm, you're pretty much on schedule. It's not that big of a deal. But by the time you get to Marek, and Marek is again very, once again flagging you in. You kind of have to make that question, Jake. You have to make that choice. Do you ignore them? Because by law, you don't have to pull in again. Last time it just confused you, but then you put 2 and 2 together. You realize what's going on. And feel free to counsel with the other PCs as well. Do you give the order to pull into the docks, or do you just ignore that order because you have the authority to? And then to be clear as to where your other soldiers are at this point, by the time you get to Marek, you're actually going to have your soldiers currently traveling through Marek. You're actually having them all on the barge itself. Nobody is off of it. So you have all of your river guard with you because, there's a fork in the road ahead, and you want to make sure that they are able to kind of re-split once you get to the fork in the river. My apologies.
Are we going left or right at the fork?
Right.
Cool.
East.
I figured as much.
He would bring it up when this started happening again, especially to the river guard, and he would be saying, "This doesn't seem normal. We have authority to move straight through here. We've been checked. Have you seen anything like this before? Any of you know why this is happening?"
Take it away, Neil.
Tristan would shrug and say, some folks aren't too fond of the fact that we control the rivers nowadays. But we are on Duin land, or water. And therefore, these Perenhia and Valor officials don't actually hold any legitimate authority over us, per se.
I see. If we stop, this may delay us. Should we continue?
Up to you, BT. Alternatively, they may have horsemen of their own and decide to harass us all the way down the river. Who knows?
Out of character, because in character, I wouldn't chime in at all. Out of character, I am very much on the side of they're doing this out of spite. I don't think they're going to waste too much money on it if we do just keep going.
Yeah, well, we're not behind schedule yet, as far as I know. However, Viggo this is his kind of like first real command, and he is a bit unsure. So, that's probably showing to an extent. He's tried to do the best he can. However, he doesn't want to upset too many people, but we are on a river.
Yeah.
So,
I think
whereabouts are we as well, Scott? What's this? Are we in Perennia?
Marek, so we're on the border of Valor and Perenhia, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We've been stopped too many times. We're going to continue.
So do you do like so you tell your crew keep going.
It is worth
like head
noting.
north.
This is the first stop in Valor, if Marek is considered owned by the officials of Valor.
Actually, would your characters know that? That's a good question. I mean, there are flags actually.
I was about to ask. That's a good point.
Yeah,
Then that's probably a better reason to stop.
You would
does
actually
change things.
You would actually see flags. And Marek is kind of a funny city where the northern part of it is Vala, the southern part of it is Perenhia. Because the line was
Which
drawn
part are we in when we're getting flagged down?
as you're approaching, as you're coming in. So it's the southern part.
So Perenhia.
Yeah.
Would be funny to go and stop in the Valor side.
Yeah.
Because you're doing what they say, right? You're stopping at Marek.
Yeah, police officers love it when you're like, I pulled over eventually.
Oh.
Being as this is a border, we'll stop.
You don't shoot
Okay,
jokes
that's
at
fair.
officers.
I think
they
that's a
might
good
shoot
enough
back.
reason. I think that's a good reason to stop as well if it's
Yeah.
since the border one.
So you stop when they start flagging you down?
Mm-hmm.
So they go and they immediately start inspecting the area. But when they inspect it, they don't just inspect the area. They actually do something a bit different this time. You actually see that they have a couple of hounds that they bring with them as well, that they're lowering onto the boats. Again, this is something that's unusual to two of you, but Neil, you've seen this used literally once before. And if they suspect there's illicit materials that they think that the hounds would be able to find, they're going to utilize the hounds to try to discover it.
Tristan would frown and take a step closer to the BT and say, "They don't do this very often. Specially trained, those dogs. Very sensitive. Drugs, all that sort of thing they can detect."
He pulls
Sorry.
up the manifest of what we've got on board. He's like, "Oh, this shouldn't be an issue then. Hopefully they get it over and done with quickly."
Again, the private supply stuff, like the personal supply stuff, the smaller crates, you wouldn't know what's inside those because that's all, personal belongings that's there. Either way, so you kind of like pull out the manifest, like thinking, and you maybe even like saying that to him, and then taking a few steps forward to hand it over to the member of the crew that would be investigating things. Do you say anything to them, or is it just pleasantry? Is like, "G'day."
The people that are coming aboard and looking. He'd let them work for the most part, but he'd probably question a little bit. Say, "We've been stopped multiple times. Is there any reason? Have you got some type of problem here?"
He kind of, a semi-cheerful person says, "Oh, no, nothing about that. Maybe you just look suspicious." And
Paradel military is suspicious to you.
you can tell he meant that as like a joke. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, but you're
Well,
like,
I love that
didn't
response.
take it that way.
Though.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So you're like, Paradel military is suspicious to you. He goes, "Hey, well, hold on. We're both on the same side here, friend."
So Gallon is like, you know how where they would have boarded the boat from, you know how there's likely going to be guards. They would have a guard on the other end of that to stop us from like fleeing off the ship sort of thing if something got found. Gallon is going to be opposite that guard, where they get boarded, just staring him down. just
like to say hello to
perfectly
the
like
doggies, actually.
I like that. But yeah, so he's just standing on like the dock part, just staring down the other guard, just like almost being like, "No, I'm here stopping you from stopping any of them from doing anything, not the other way around."
So I believe what you're trying to say is being suspicious.
No, I'm staring at him, not staring back on the boat.
Yeah.
Oh, come
Being
on.
suspicious.
It's a guard. That's not that suspicious.
We both have
We're
guards.
never getting to the gate.
You
These
roll-
fucking
you roll me
chat
a-
rolls.
Intimidation check.
No, I'm not
Yeah,
trying to.
go on.
Okay, I'm not trying to intimidate. I'm copying him, basically.
It sounds like you're trying to bluff the DM.
What? No. If I didn't explain it right, the idea is like being like this whole thing is a
fucking with you.
charade.
I'm fucking with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's annoyed by this whole charade, so he's sort of treating it as a charade.
You're the societal mirror,
Yeah,
if you will. Anyway, so you so you stand there watching this. They have the hounds kind of sniffing through. And this goes on for a bit. I mean, like, a typical inspection lasts anywhere between, like, say, a half hour to an hour's time, right? Even though you guys don't have clocks, you can internally experience that. Anywhere between a half hour to an hour's time. It goes on for a little over an hour, which is, like, very long. Before finally, the person that's kind of, like, heading up the inspection, which is like, the person that's heading up the inspection comes over and says, "We're going to have the goods in this barge removed and investigated further."
Did the dogs react like that?
You actually did not see any like big yelps or barks or any signs that you might be able to pick. Like you're not familiar with their training. But
Yeah,
you
of
did not
course.
see anything that would alert you.
What gave you that idea?
Says, well, it seems as though there's something funny going on here.
Dogs
The
didn't react.
Anything funny that's going on here is that I've let you on this ship this barge for so long. I stopped as a courtesy. We are on territory belonging to is it Dwin here or something?
Yeah, you're from Duin.
Yep.
If you're from Duin Air, it would be, you could say you're using his authority.
Yeah.
You said the River King, sorry.
The River King. This territory belongs to him. We have our mission. We have our orders to carry out, and we will carry them out. If you seek to impede, I will let those know that sent me that you are. What's the word for it? Like more or less trying to go out of your jurisdiction into meddle in the Dwin's affairs, kind of thing, River King's affairs.
Shakes his head and says, I don't think you understand. You stopped for inspection. If anything suspicious is found during an inspection, that is 100% in the jurisdiction of those that are doing the investigation. I am well within my rights to take these supplies off this barge and to have them investigated further. Besides, you may not have seen the dogs react to anything, but that's probably because whatever it is that you're hiding is being very heavily cloaked by the ridiculous amount of potpourri that you have back there. It's pretty obvious that you were trying to disguise the scent from our hounds, but we'll discover it nonetheless.
Sir, if I may, I believe you would be correct if we were transporting goods into your lands. However, as we are not doing so and they have a specific destination outside of your jurisdiction, he will place his hand lightly on the head of his horseman's pick. Any attempt to remove them would, of course, be stealing from the Dween here.
You go ahead and roll an intimidation.
Oh, I love it.
So, clearly, Jake, you see that he gets a bit flustered, and this is on the deck of the ship, so this is heard by all of you, right? Clearly, you see, like, when that happens, you can see that he's like taken aback, like one of those, like, am I being threatened? Kind of like calculating the situation very quickly. Like, this is a pencil pusher, not a soldier, right? Yep. Technically a soldier, but you know what I mean. So, how does your character react?
Interesting, because, I came at him from the way, like, this isn't your territory, blah, blah, blah. And then Tristan more or less come at him like, yeah, go on, I dare you. You know? So I let it play out.
So you just kind of like, you just let stay silent? Awesome.
Cross arms.
Tesh, do you say or do anything?
I'll start writing. Sorry, I'll start writing some stuff down, looking at him.
You know, I know what I'll do. I'll position myself as if I'm almost like getting ready to like just do the whole like seeing them off the ship thing, like standing next to the thing ready to see them off.
oh, gotcha. Like almost like
you get
a hand climbing out.
Yeah, like it's like this is your opportunity to leave.
The courteous, because your character's kind, right?
Yeah. He's not. Yeah, he unless he has a reason not to be. He is.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like almost like standing on the dock, like offering a hand to help them off. Like that. That's
yes,
sort of
essentially.
What's the word I'm looking for here? Not so subtle, kind of whatever. Anyways,
passive aggressive.
Passive aggressive. Oh my god!
Yeah.
I was like, what is that?
You really couldn't find that word. You're like, not so subtle.
Yeah, passive aggressive. Because I'm not passive aggressive as a person. I'm very in your face, especially last night, Neil.
God.
So hey, there's a reason why your mouth hurts, baby. So you let's just say I blow holes. So you We're both so lucky our significant others don't have to listen to this shit. You know? Brittany and Chloe would just be like, we'll be in the other room.
Chloe has listened to a bit of this occasionally. She listened to some like a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, didn't really understand what was going on, but it was nice to hear you laughing with your friends.
Oh, that's
I know, isn't she nice?
Yeah,
That's sweet.
Yeah. My wife's not that nice. She'd be like, why are you a terrible
Used to
person?
me.
Well, yeah, because you're more worthy of it. So, so anyways, so you go over there and you do that not so subtle, passive aggressive. There we go. Lending the hand to help him off. So he looks at it and takes in the situation. You can actually see like his face is getting kind of, red. Like he's like, taking it in. And he's like, there will be notations of this. It will be known. We will send a very, very strongly worded letter down to the River King about what it is that you are transporting.
Potpourri.
Do you say that?
He would say it with like a question, as like potpourri.
So the guard that you were
Tristan
standing there,
snorts.
yeah, the guard that you were
He
standing
can't
there
hold
snorts
that
as
in.
well. And he just kind of flustered, like goes over towards where it is that you're offering him a hand. You know what? I'm going to allow Joey, go ahead and roll me a d20 real quick to see how gracefully he tries to get off the ship.
Do I have to catch him?
Drop him. Don't catch him.
No, to be fair, he wasn't.
No,
he wasn't
I'll
like,
catch him.
I chose Joey because Joey tends to roll well, so I didn't choose. I didn't choose a failure. We have several of them
Let
there.
him flop. Dang it.
Yeah. And Rosin's not here to mess.
Like, he
everything
just
up.
falls down the gap between the boat and like the edge, and you just like at that moment you just hear like a scream as the squelch as the boat just comes down, and we
He aggravated walks over and kind of smacks with the back of his hand, smacks your offered hand to the side and climbs out of the ship. And kind of the other guards that are with him that have the hounds and whatnot will kind of like climb out as well, and everything. And he's like,
No.
not the last that you've heard, and storms and walks off.
I'm gonna quickly do a search of the ship to make sure, they didn't mess with anything. There's nothing that's missing, or they didn't leave anything on the ship, sort of thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, search checks are perception.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh my god, it's still 11. It's still 11. Even though it's a 1. You guys chose not to do the thing, so...
Tash,
Well, I was gonna
Tash.
say anyway. We were watching them
No,
while they were
Tash.
doing their search. So
The rum, it's gone. Where has the rum gone?
Fuck off.
I knew where that was happening. Like he said, the rum, it's gone, and I smashed the glass on
I
my
saw-
emergency shotgun, and I was like, no, you don't, you.
God damn it. Well, I'm kind of glad we chose not to do crit fails then now, because I got an 11 still.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like anything's missing.
Okay, cool. Then I'll just go back to where I was posted before.
Okay. And you guys are able to dock off. And it's one of those things where it's quite agitating that this whole thing has transpired the way that it has. You guys head north. Unfortunately, with your names tied to, you, Jake, your name tied to this vessel tied to this incident. Now there's, for the first time ever, a blemish against your name, depending on how things are perceived to the south, because there's going to be a strongly worded report of what's going on. It's like, that's a bit of an aggravation, I imagine, for you.
Tris would like, once we're out at the docks and he's like relaxed a bit, he would actually apologize to the BT and say, I hope you don't get in any trouble from that. Just seemed the best way to back you up.
Oh, I appreciate it. I think we were well within our rights. However, something that you did say, maybe for the way back, apparently we don't have to stop for these. If we choose to stop, then it becomes somebody else's business. Good to know.
We are on our land, after all,
We are.
so to speak.
Yes, of course. That's what I tried to inform him, but Your method was a little more effective. It's probably used to dealing with people like me. I've noted it all down I will make my own report. I don't believe we've done anything wrong.
I would agree with you, sir.
And so you
He
guys...
would offer you a hand at that and shake your hand.
Oh, that's unusual for an officer. He would accept if like he would expect maybe at that situation like a salute, or something.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. So because he's a little oh, Neil's gone. I just click back to Zoom and Neil's gone.
And he's gone.
Play that theme.
He's gone.
Anyways, you guys finish the trek, getting up there pretty much as soon as you go past Marek. It's funny too because you would have at Marek been able to let like soldiers off of the ship for the eastern side, but chose not to. Instead, you go up to where the river splits to the east and to the west, and after it finally splits, when you get to where the split is, you're gonna want to kind of like pull up on one shore on one side. Allow the horses to, kind of climb off the two that are over there. And then you're going to allow Neil, you're going to get off on this side. Over on the eastern side, once again, kind of like pull up on the side, allow 3 horses, so it's going to be Neil included, to climb off over there. And then you're going to make your way north along here, once again with them watching. Vala is different than... Paranhia. So even though your guys are technically along the border, but technically in Vala, Vala is very different from Paranhia. Vala is not as well maintained as Paranhia. Vala doesn't have as much commerce, especially as we talk about Forever Go and Regicide with Momley, because of what happened with the River King taking over these rivers. As Paranhia, Zolgov, of course, being hit by that as well, et cetera, right? So Vala also, it's just doesn't have it's not as populous, it's not as built up. So you notice that here is like for the first time in the voyage where you legitimately have to, Neil, keep sending back a rider to give them a heads up, like slow down your travel, slow down. We have something to clear away. And fairly often you actually have to spend time hopping off of your horse with a hatchet. And you guys are, drilling away at, logs that are dislodged there, tossing ropes around them and having the horses kind of pull them straight. And so down south, whether or not you guys actually have to come to a stop to see this coming, or you're maybe you see it well beyond ahead, or you're far enough back that you just notice their efforts coming down the river. But eventually you literally see a bit of log just rolling down the river, coming down street, or kind of having been dislodged aside, or sometimes they'll actually just straight up pull it and bank it, depending on the situation. Pull it up and bank it to be out of your way. But fairly often they have to deal with this as river trees, they kind of grow inwards as erosion and whatnot sets in, and eventually kind of collapse into the river. Though Neil, of course, you're on high alert, on high guard against this. There's nothing untoward happening here. There's actually no concerns of it being sort of looking for bandits or the like intentionally trying to slow you down. That's good news. The bad news is, this is for all of you, there's actually some eels that live in these waters up here that are rather dangerous. Again, this may have been, some of you may remember this from Riverside.
Did you say there's owls?
Eels.
In the water?
Eels.
Oh.
Yeah, unagi. That's here. You guys remember this from when what's his name? Ophios had to swim down and cross through this water area by himself. I think naked again. Anyways, so
he's always naked. Why is Ophios always naked?
It's Tyler. Tyler's got a thing. I don't know.
He's got a snake fixation.
I don't know. So anyways, there are actually a considerable number of eels here, and this actually makes for the worst incident that happens is at one point in time when there is another tree that happened to fall in that you guys are dealing with. One of the men are down there and actively trying to chop this thing away when an eel kind of swims up onto shore, because they have the ability to propulse themselves up and a little bit onto shore, kind of like a snake moving very quickly. or whatnot, kind of move themselves up onto shore enough that they actually grab onto the guy and start trying to like pull him into the river. But he's still has the horse had like the rope nearby, so it's kind of like tied around the horse. He grabs onto it, and you and another guy are able to kind of like ride up quickly, hop off your horses, and pull him free from where it is. The eels can't stay out of water for very long, right? But are able to pull him free, and the thing eventually like lets go, and it's kind of like the most shocking situation that happens. Like, oof, that's one to remember. But either way, so they that's kind of like happens while you're there. Eventually, you all cross off to the east side. You come into the area where the actual what's what I'm looking for, swamp begins, because up here it gets really, really swampy. To where the swamp begins, and this is kind of where things start. Specifically, Neil, because it's only you that's like off, and you're not always immediately alongside the river. You sometimes move inland a little bit further to the east. Go ahead and roll me a perception check, please.
Would this be about when I would switch to the suit, you think? Like, I'm trying to think, because I don't generally know the idea of where the gate begins, so...
So you're not going to want these river guards to go all the way to the gate itself. They're actually going to stay.
Oh, okay. So when the river guards lead us, then
Yeah.
that's all I needed to know. That'll work.
Yep. The only one that's going to be traveling with you beyond this that might be a concern for noting is Timmy. Is supposed to come with you to send some notes back.
His name
as to what's happening.
isn't Timmy. It's
Okay, well, as
Anton
long as
Hemming.
he's not, he doesn't see me change.
different
That's
guy.
not too bad. As far as he knows, it's normal magic.
Yeah, he might think it's normal magic, that one person, that one, or whatever it might be, right? So, either way. So, Neil, with your perception check of, a 16 rolled on my screen for whatever reason, but I see a 5. Oh, because I have it clicked over since you rolled that intimidation check. That's why.
Yep.
So, either way, you unfortunately are not very perceptive. You don't pick up anything additional over there. When finally the river kind of like splits off down to an area where it's still a river, but it's kind of going into like where the swamp really is. This is where you're going to leave the 4 guard at its base. You don't need to put their lives at risk. At this point too, this is where your oarmen would also, because inside here, you're not dealing with the extreme streams. As a matter of fact, if you guys happen to be looking at the map to kind of pull you in for where it is that you're seeing, if you look north of Marek and you head east, northeast of Marek, yep, about a quarter of the way up or halfway up from there, so a third of the way up, my apologies, there's a teeny weeny little river, like you said, that actually goes downstream. So you don't need the oarsmen to go against that current, and the current is much lesser. So you're going to leave all your oarsmen here. You're going to leave your other men here because you're putting people at risk that don't need to be. Should they actually stay in the region that's literally right where that kind of like starts to break off? They actually stay on the western bank, not the eastern bank, and that kind of like middle V-shaped area there, because that's much more safe and whatnot, as long as they stay out of the water for the eels.
Okay, so once we do leave them behind, then I would find somewhere to out of sight to switch into the suit.
Sure. And these others, they've seen your suit before from session 1, right?
Yeah, they saw it.
All right, cool. So they see you switching. So when you come walking back in your suit, and to be clear, you're going with the weakest one, right?
Yeah, I'm going with skin.
Cool. So I don't know if you named these or anything like that. If you have like specific names that you want to use,
I might come up with actual names apart from the mechanical names, but for now it's just the skin.
Okay.
The astral skin.
So at this point, you guys are going to kind of break away from them and start heading through the actual river area itself. Into the actual swamp area itself. Inside here is, again, where things are different. There's significantly less sunlight as it's kind of covered by the canopy of trees in the swamp. The air here is sticky because as you head further and further north, it's hotter and hotter and hotter, as, Dead Aussie Gamer knows. It's hotter and hotter and hotter. Now you're actually inside a swamp where everything's just sticky and gross. The sheer number of mosquitoes is just daunting. It's more than just that. Mosquitoes don't just annoy you because, God damn it, another one. You know what I mean? Mosquitoes don't just bother you because of the fact that they spread plague and they're annoying, they make you itchy, so on and so forth. But it's also one of those things where none of you have actually encountered a scourge before, but you've heard descriptions. You've heard of them. Jake, you've seen depictions of them, like sketches of them inside the books when you did your research. So like when you have one of those situations where mosquitoes are extremely loud because they have to be buzzing like right around here, you all know that noise. You all know that noise.
Yeah.
I hate that noise. It freaks you out for a second because you think it might be a starch. You know what I mean? But luckily,
I don't have to worry about that.
yeah, luckily at
I have
first,
the astral skin.
there doesn't seem to be any. Oh, you think that stops them?
Oh no.
Oh no.
You think Kevlar stops a sturge?
No, sorry, not sturge. I meant the normal mosquitoes.
If you're wearing Under Armour with 2 t-shirts and a hoodie on, a mosquito is still getting you. They're like, I'm gonna wiggle my way in there. Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
Stop with the creepy wiggling.
Yeah, stop, please.
You don't need any more rumors about your creepiness spreading.
Why not? A few more.
Why not? You can see in that moment, Scott was like, how to react to this? And he was just like, fuck it. Why not?
A few more. That's fine.
Okay.
So, anyways, I'm actually sad too. Not to get off point for a second, but Rory's actually at my job with me, generally speaking, on Saturday for like at most 15 minutes, usually a handful of minutes. But Rory actually knows the word streaming now. Rory actually knows things like that.
Oh no.
Yeah, she actually understands. Like she knows the word, even though she doesn't remember how to say it all the time. She knows the word Daelric and stuff like that. So she knows that it's games that Daddy does in the office. Like she knows these things. So I like don't just like let her run off with like one of the other people that she's excited to see. I like have to stay like they're almost like a helicopter parent to control what conversation we're talking about, just to be like, oh, we're doing this. Pretty good. There you are. Go ahead, take her. Bye. Bye. You know, it's oh god, it's only so long. I'm like, it's like anyways, so back to the game. As you guys are making your way in, you deal with the mosquitoes. It's very uncomfortable. You guys have to deal with the heat. You have to deal with discomfort. The whole while, it's the 4 of you, Timmy, that are literally pushing the oars to make your way along. Luckily, it's not difficult. The current is working in your favor this way. So it's literally just a matter of like 2 people. For the most part, it's 2 people, one on either side, because you guys aren't very well trained in this, with like an extra long oar or stick or whatever it is, to make sure that you don't hit anything along the way, or to stop yourself from getting kind of like lodged in to areas where there might be a bit more mud, or like reeds or whatever that are there. So it's actually pretty easy. Occasionally, you might find yourself kind of a bit stuck in, so you'd have 2 more below deck actually oaring your way to assist and, you know, kind of like making your way through, and there's no skill checks needed. You will succeed in this. It's not that difficult. However, you hope to get at least to the gate without having to deal with anything more than just like the bugs everywhere, the sheer number of dragonflies and mosquitoes and spiders that hang down from overhead. And God damn it, you know what I mean? Things like that. The overall discomforts and et cetera, et cetera. But whether or not there is a Sturge attack between here and there, I suppose to finish the session off, why don't we have one person go ahead and roll a D100 for you? But, I'll allow Neil to choose who it is.
Me. You weren't expecting that, were you?
No, yeah, go ahead. In Twitch chat, you can roll your D100. Go ahead. You can choose you.
Oh, okay, good then.
I choose me. Go. Michael Vick.
Yeah, imagine that if Ash had been like...
Did he really just...
It says no. It says no. Anno, I choose you. Oh, Snugger, I'm so sorry that... Whoa, what happened to you, dude?
Oh, it's funny. I agree with him.
23. Okay. Nice.
You know, if you go to time, I don't know if you just click the timeout button or if you hand type it. But if you hand type,
I'm just clicking it because I'm lazy.
Yeah,
I know I could just type /timeout 1.
Yeah, cool. Otherwise, so,
but you know, it lets me like toy with how long do I want to timeout Snug. You know, like.
Okay, so
Mo is unfortunately bad. I should have chosen Steve, but hey.
So with Ano, that looks like you guys definitely hear some like
we have the candles as well.
correct. You guys have a off in the distance is what you guys hear, and that kind of
Back.
is what we're gonna start next session with. It's funny. About 20 minutes ago, I looked at the clock and realized, oh shit, it's almost 11. I gotta go because I have work in an hour. I was actually supposed to be at work today at like 2, but I had to move it to be able to go flower picking yesterday. So I shifted my schedule around, and I'm like, So I had to make today a longer day for me and make yesterday shorter so I can go and flower picking with the girls. So why don't we do our outro so I can get out of here, get ready for work, and
No, let's just play for 2 more hours.
yeah, get in a lot of trouble for that one. Why don't we go do that, and then we can have our call on Discord in about half an hour. But I definitely have to shower real quick. I have to take a quickie shower. So Tesh, what are you up to?
Hi, I'm Tash of the Test Tube. You can find me under that name on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Follow me on Twitter to keep up to date on all the things. Follow me on Twitch for hopefully soon Monster Hunter, Warframe, Destiny. Now that the next season of Destiny looks fantastic. And then you should follow me on YouTube because today I recorded some stuff with Wade and Pat that had me
No,
cry.
Wade.
So had me cry laughing. So look forward to that.
Bootyful. Neil, anything happening in like an hour or 4?
I mean, there is. Like, you could go.
Oh yeah, that's right. You don't do that anymore. Never mind.
No,
Well, you
I'm
can still
not on
mention
that.
it though.
Yeah, you could go
Since you brought
watch
it
Ollie Rent on twitch.tv if you fancy some D&D 5e in another homebrew world, Yavaskir.
Gotcha. Yeah. I forgot that you're not in it anymore because I'm so used to you.
Yeah, no, because for this one I wasn't actually in it, and then your brother like just bailed horrifically because Will's just unreliable. Yeah, no, his basement flooded, and then
wow.
his missus got pregnant with twins. So like,
Yeah, they're having a fun go of it at the moment. So
yeah, so he was like, I gotta focus on real life. And so I stepped in for a bit, as usual, and saved Will's day.
The base of the flood was a rental that he was at. He actually owns his house, a different place now, so he hasn't had to deal with that. Luckily, in his house that he owns, that would be
Thankfully.
far worse. But the foundation there is it's an old house in New England, so yeah, basements around here are either really ugly or going to fall apart because why would you ever have a poured concrete foundation? Those things are trash.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ground around you just kind of like moves the slightest bit and you have huge cracks in it.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, poured concrete foundations are super. Funny enough, I'm sitting at a poured concrete foundation. So, but I waterproofed the walls. If you don't remember, I waterproofed the walls.
Yeah,
before.
we can actually see one big crack right now already. A big ass crack on screen.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Yeah.
No, Twitch.tv terms and service.
It's okay. You wouldn't see it anyways. It's too much hair. All right. So let's see if there's anybody to raid. Let's get out of here. I got to go take a shower.
Yeah, you do.
I need to get that swamp ass. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh god. Now I know why.
Oh, this is a rating message. Swamp ass. That's our rating message.
Oh god.
Best. I love this.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Rating message, swamp ass. Here we go.
You know
We're
how
going-
you like wanted to call everyone flumps? Maybe you should just call them like swampies.
No.
Oh no.
No. Let's go. Swamp ass. Bye, everybody. It was a pleasure. See you tonight. Twitch.tv/Lost Initiative show at what time is that? 9 p.m. EST.